Hey y'all, it's your girl, Life Coach Queen. Hey y'all, I am a 35-year-old life coach, mentor. I am also a public speaker. I am also a housing advocate. I also do public speaking, seminars, interviews, podcasts. I'm also a blogger, a mother, a fiance, a child of God, and all the above. My women's movement is also a non-profit. It's called Claiming Your Identity, where I am the founder and the CEO. So welcome to my platform. Thank you for being here. If you're new, welcome to the queendom, where you know we love you. And I hope you love me too. That's a little intro song, but the kids love it. So welcome. And if you've been here for a while, hey Queendom. Thank y'all for being here. Please be sure to hit that follow button to keep up with everything that CYI stands for Claiming Your Identity has going on. All right, let's get into it, y'all. Today gonna be a little different. We're gonna do a story time. I'm gonna do a story time on how I found out that my son, that is now 10 years old, had autism. All right, so quick backstory. My son was born August 27th of 2013. So long story short, and I was going through a divorce back in 2012. I forgot. Legally separated, was going through a divorce. Obviously when you separated, you have to move out. So my daughter at the time was like one or two, like two. I don't know, y'all. Probably three. Anyways, and I ended up moving in with my cousin, and we was living together for a while, and then I ended up moving into my own apartment. Long story short, I ended up moving on, and I would say that I was going through a very hard time in my life. I was not mentally okay. I was not happy with myself. I did not know my worth. I was just in a bad place, especially going through a divorce. But the difference between my divorce and some other divorces is, it's like it was like public, because of, who I was married to, and, being in the church, everybody know everybody. So it was a little bit more difficult to heal in private from the situations that I had to face. When I got pregnant, my sickle cell was acting up a lot, and I was in and out the hospital. So it was just a lot, and I was just like, okay. So one day I just wasn't in a good place mentally, and like I said, I was going through a bunch of things, not just in my body, but just my mind. So it was difficult, guys. So when I got pregnant, first of all, the story's crazy. I ended up moving out of the city, just to get away, just to, find myself, and things like that. So I didn't want to be close to the norm where I could fall back on people and depend on certain people. So, or anyone for that matter. So I just moved away, and my daughter was a toddler. With that being said, I got sick one time, and I had to go to the hospital due to my sickle cell, and they told me while I was in there that I was pregnant. Now, this was in February, I believe. So I was like, what? Whatever. Okay. So it was pretty early. So I ended up getting sent home from the hospital about a week or two later. When I got home that same week, I ended up having a miscarriage. I didn't go to the hospital. I did call the doctor, and she said, honestly, if you come in, you're so early that it was pretty early. If you come in, there's not much we can do unless it's like you're drastically, like, losing a lot of, So it kind of just passed. I went to the bathroom and it just passed. It was just mainly cramping. So that was in February, right, of 2013. So I was not really, of course you're going to be like sad that, you lost a child. But like I said, I wasn't in a mental space to even do that. I was dealing with so much. I was, I had to, just get used to being a single mom at that time. and dealing with my health. So time goes on. I'm living my life. I moved out to another city. My cousin also was living in that city at the time. I did not have a car, but I had a 2-bedroom apartment for me and my daughter, and we got things done, So I was just glad that I had found my own place, my first own place, especially after being married so young. So with that being said, as time went on, I'm not sure of the month, but I had to go back to the hospital. When I did go back to the hospital, the doctors told me that, do you know you're still pregnant? This is a true story, y'all. I got proof to show it, because it may sound crazy. Even the father was in the room, okay? So back in the hospital sick, dealing with my sickle cell, they're like, you're pregnant, whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I was just here a few months ago, and I had a miscarriage, and I told them about it, and I literally seen, I can't say too much, but trust me, I had a miscarriage. I'm just like, okay, that don't make no sense. And they're like, yeah, you're like 5 months. So they end up doing an ultrasound and things like that. And they're like, you're like 5 months. I'm like, ma'am, look at my stomach. My stomach was still flat, y'all. I still was getting my menstrual. I was fine. Now, don't come for me now. I got three kids now. At the time, I only had one. So my stomach was still, like, really flat and whatever. So I'm like, So she's like, no, look. I'm like, y'all must have got somebody's urine mixed up. Man, that I'm not pregnant. I had a miscarriage. I'm trying to tell you. Look at the records. They're like, yeah, we do see that, but you're still pregnant. Well, fast forward. At this time, I'm 5 months. Who's going to get a miscarriage? Who wants to get an abortion? So my best friend at the time, while I was in the hospital, I did not tell nobody I was pregnant. If I cry, it's not because I'm sad. It's just like, wow, you've been through so much, and you just are so strong, and God has done so much for you. So it's like just looking back over your life. God is so good. I could picture these moments, like as I was telling them. That's why I gotta finish this book, y'all. My friend at the time, her name was Aniki, best friend. She would come into the hospital every day to see me. She would give me my little Arbonne pain, my little ham croissant. What was it? It was like a ham and cheese croissant with my little lemonade. So she came up there and she was like, what's wrong with you? Mind you, I had already told the father, and he was like, I'll tell that part in a minute. So she was like, what's going on? I'm like, I didn't want to tell nobody. I didn't tell nobody because I felt low-key embarrassed, ashamed, but I also felt like back then, I was more so worried about what people was going to say. Well, technically, she's still legally married. Even though he done moved on, they're legally separated, the divorce is almost final, people still going to talk, especially being in the church, and I'm not trying to say that, but I'm just saying people, when you're everyone knew who I was, so when you're like well known and people, so I was like, so I could picture it right now, like, so she was sitting in the chair, and I was like, so basically, I'm pregnant, and I'm like 5 months, and I can't remember back then. They could have, they had options. I forgot how. Now they have it where you can have kids, abortions up to like a lot of months. I'm not like 5 or 6 months now. I forgot. So long story short, so I was like crying, and I was like, I just worry about everybody's gonna say, like, oh, ain't she a church girl? Because my first kid I was married, so I didn't want to be that person that got pregnant out of wedlock. I didn't ever want to be that person. When I got married to stay married, but it didn't work out, and I'm okay with that. Don't ever be ashamed of your story. Your story is your story, and you should never be ashamed of it, because your story is what's gonna make you grow. Your story is what's gonna help other people. So don't ever do that. So with that being said, so she was like, girl, what are you crying for? Who cares what they're going to say? Who cares what they're going to think? They was already talking about the divorce. They was already talking about what went on. Everyone was already gossiping about the situation. So I'm like, oh, something else. Oh, see, she's pregnant. So they didn't even care that he had a whole girlfriend already. It's not like like he already done moved on publicly. So it was like, of course it was my intentions to get pregnant, but come on, I'm still in the door at the end of the day. Long story short, she was like, no, you have to understand that if God gave you that baby,